We're here with another edition of SVG Sports Tech On Demand. I'm Jason Dackman, Chief Editor at SVG, and we're joined by a longtime friend of SVG, Sean Sullivan of RCN Networks. He's the Senior Director of Media Network Architecture. Sean, how are you, and where are you located today?
I'm doing well. I'm in Virginia. We have a major network in Washington, D.C. and Virginia, but I'm starting traveling next week because, the business is back on, and we've been building over this past year and not staying quiet. And it's pretty exciting. RCN has merged with Wave Broadband out on the West Coast and with Grande Communications in Texas. And we're going to have some pretty exciting announcements in the coming months of our growth. But we're very excited about the opportunity being one of the primary metro first and last mile providers, which is always a challenge, because we're an unregulated fiber provider. We're not a tariff service offering.
Sure. Yeah. Everybody always talks about the first and last mile, right? That's the most important thing, and also the most challenging thing. But in terms of growth, very cool. You guys have the three entities under one umbrella now, and I'm sure there'll be some cool news coming down the pike. But let's talk about venues a little bit and how you guys serve connectivity to stadiums and arenas. We've heard a lot about 100 gig networks over the years, but it sounds like this is starting to become a lot more of a reality when it comes to venues. Is that right?
Yeah, very much so. We provision wavelength. We're vendor agnostic, but we have the top of the line DWDM network equipment. And we're finding that customers are starting to migrate away from just 10 gig network connectivity to 100 gig, as well as some of the smaller megabit requirements. But RCN and Wave and Grande have lit into many stadiums. We're supporting 4 different sports leagues at about 8 venues, and we have 6 others under construction for multiple customers. We're carrier agnostic. We focus on our core competency with our dense metro fiber networks.
That's great. Yeah, it's nice to see, because at our SVG transport events every year, we've talked about 100 gig networks to the venue for a long time. There's been here and there, but it sounds like it is becoming not necessarily the norm, but it's certainly growing.
Yeah, and especially not for long haul transport as much. It was like when 3G came out, that was a studio environment.
Right.
But when you have 100 gig transport, you can subtend multiple channels on that, and customers can put in their own comm equipment and not worry about the available overhead bandwidth on the network capacity.
Yeah, it gives you a lot more flexibility, in addition to obviously that if you want that huge pipe for a big quality 4K feed or something like that, it gives you that as well.
Exactly. 1080p and 4K is really becoming important, especially as the migration changes from television viewing patterns and remote production.
Well, let's talk about remote production a little bit. I mean, there's no question that over the last year, as a result of the pandemic, we've seen a lot of broadcasters and a lot of organizations have to shift to more remote-based workflows when it comes to live sports production. You guys are the connectivity that makes that happen. There isn't remote production without pipes in the ground, right? So tell me a little bit about how you guys are serving that growing need of remote production.
So we've lit to many of the studios as also a cable provider on the other side of the Chinese wall of our company. We provision private network capacity. And as a tier 1 ISP and peering partner with all the CDNs, we're able to provide the bidirectional low bit rate traffic that you need for contribution feeds. We can bring on type 2 connectivity and ship equipment to locations and be compliant with all of the standards-based transmission, and be able to put in solutions like ARQ and FEC into the solution. So none of this latency and tiling takes place that we experienced at the outbreak of COVID.
Right. Yeah. Remote production's come a long way in just a year, no question. And I'm sure it'll continue to, and RCN will continue to serve those needs. So, Sean, thanks so much for taking the time. Really appreciate it. And goodness, I hope that we get to see each other in person the next time we do this.
I look forward to it. It's going to be an exciting growth year in 2021 and beyond.
Let's hope so. Thanks, Sean.
Thank you.